tonight was born to fight. Mythical, so mystical thing.
Hi guys. Welcome to the Study Cognito. Today we are going to talk about the discovery of the cell and the cell theory. Cell theory is not only one of the most significant scientific discoveries ever in the world of science, but it also represents the origin and evolution process of the microscopes that allowed scientists to really visualize what they were making assumption of and hypothesizing in their laboratories. Now that they could see the cells, they could prove that the cells actually existed. So, in the history of the cell theory, there are a number of the scientists who played a significant role in what we know about the cell today. The first one is the Dutch scientist Anton van Leeuwenhoek. He was the person who invented the first microscope. Apart from that, he is the discoverer of the bacteria, protozoa, red blood cells, and sperm cells. Isn't he genius? That's why he was the first microbiologist of the world. This is what his microscope looked like. Doesn't seem very high-tech, as the one that we use today. Next one is an English scientist, Robert Hooke. He was the man who worked for the Royal History Society in England. In his time, the 17th century, no one had any idea of the cell, so he was the actually first person to discover the cells. In 1665, he observed the slice of cork of the oak tree inside the microscope, and found it to be made of small compartments or chambers, which he called as cells, meaning small rooms. The concept of the cell theory was developed by three German scientists. These three men came together with a large enough body of the work and put together a concept, which is known as the cell theory. The first one is a German botanist, Matthias Sheldon. In 1838, Matthias Sheldon examined different plants and their parts under the microscope. And then, he concluded that all the plants are made up of the cells. Then, the second one is also a German zoologist, Theodor Schwann. In 1839, he observed different animals and clearly stated that all the animals were also composed of the cells. When he was observing the animals, he had pointed out that the animals' cells had nuclei, but they lacked cell wall. From that time, the differences between plant and animal cells began to be noticed. The third scientist is a German pathologist, Rudolf Virchow. In 1855, he was the first to identify that the new cells arise from the pre-existing cells. He further elaborated that the new cells of animals can only come from the existing animal cells, and plant cells only come from the existing plant cells. Now, let's move on talking about what the cell theory actually is. In 1839, Matthias Sheldon and Theodor Schwann together formulated the cell theory with two main points. The first point is that the cell is the most basic and fundamental unit of the life. Second point is that all the living organisms are composed one or more cells, whether they are animals or plants. Then after 14 years, in 1855, Rudolf Virchow extended the theory with a new point that the cells come and originate from the pre-existing cells. Hence, until now the cell theory has these three main points as the salient features. Thanks for watching guys.